everybody, how's it going? I'm home recovering, but I just want to give you some tips and tricks for any writers out there. So I'm working on a sitcom. It's kind of like, to me, a little bit of Nashville, a little bit of like fake behind the scenes Hollywood type of stuff. So I have a lot of characters, but basically these are twins, brother and sister. Daisy and Duke Dawson is what the show, their characters are centering the main focus of every episode. So Duke has their own world and his own people, and Daisy has her own world and her own people, and each of these people are going to have their own like interactions, their own dialogues. And I plan each one out by episodes, but I'm only going to show you a little bit about this one. And again, all of this may change when I get into writing. This is just like outlining prep to me. So let's talk about Daisy Dawson. So she is currently 27 in the show. She started in her career at age 7. She was basically signed on the show to like a knockoff Disney. So she was like a singer and actress on a TV show, kind of like Hannah Montana, Lizzie McGuire type of shit. So she's the biggest star of the show, the biggest name. She's very professional since she's been doing it since she was 7. Like she's got a squeaky clean image, kind of like Faith Hill vibes with like no that sweet girl next door Southern Belle. Basically, I describe their looks a little bit. I tweak it up, but she's the all-American girl, sweetheart look, blonde hair, light eyes. She's going to have her own brand and company line and her own social media platform with millions of followers. She does modeling and commercials. She's beloved Hollywood royalty since her childhood. She does movies and has a couple hit albums under her belt. So she's like pop country singer, but she's an actress too and a model and has her own brand. So, you know, she's got it going on, kind of the idea dream of what people get in the industry for. And then her brother Duke, you know, grew up in her shadow, but they were very close. It wasn't like Daisy is a spoiled brat or anything. He's a very talented musician, got signed at 17 with a big label. He's like a country rock artist. He's had 5 #1 albums. He has his own beer and whiskey company. He has his own music label and studio. And a lot of these people over here are his artists that he signed. He's very handsome, sweet, charming, country boy. Tall, blonde, light hair, light eyes. He's been in a few movies. He's got that A-list actor under his belt too. He's the most eligible bachelor in country music / basically he's a wild boy. He hasn't settled down. Daisy's not with anyone either. She's kind of like a career focused person. So let's move down the line. We got Willa Wentworth. She's Daisy's manager since Daisy left her childhood label at 18. Basically, you know, I'm going to get into the fact that her knockoff Disney was just wanting to keep her a little girl, and she wanted to grow up, so she found Willa Wentworth and created her whole brand she has now with Willa, so they're very close. She's got dark hair, dark eyes, strong features, dressed masculine. She wears feminine suits. She has Native American descent, a bit more big boned or a stocky of a girl, but not necessarily fat. She's dating Zula. This is my lesbian couple for the show. You know, I always support all people. There's going to be massive different cultures and looks. But Zula comes from New Zealand, and she is Daisy's PR manager. So Willa and Zula, they travel with Daisy, so they're like a close-knit family. These two don't have kids. They're not married yet. Willa's very professional, uptight, worrywart. She's like a second mom to Daisy. She's very tough and shrewd, gives good advice. She's very loyal and hard-working and driven. Daisy is her, you know, prodigy. She knows Daisy the most, besides her twin brother Duke. So yeah, that's a little bit about Daisy. Then over here on Duke, we have Bo Benson. He's an artist that Duke signed. He's 28. He's tall, dark, and handsome. Got that bad boy energy, like biker vibes. He's the #1 country singer, pure country. He has his own restaurant with his sister and his mom, like a country barbecue chicken place. He has a real ranch in Texas and is a big part of the meat market. So he's got side hustles as well. He's the first act Duke ever signed and his longtime guitar player on his tours. So he actually met Bo Benson because he was in his band. And he's like, you know what, Bo, I'm going to make this label and I'm going to sign you because you should be your own front runner. So they're longtime friends here. And then over here we have Sophia Solomon. She is 21 on the show. She's Asian descent, very petite and short. She is Daisy's assistant. She's actually was a homeless woman in New York City, and Daisy kind of met her in this out-of-way place, and she noticed that she was living in the car, and she seemed to have such potential, so she hired her as a assistant, and she's been with her for a year at the time the show is opening. Sophia has no family. She was an orphan. She lost her way and didn't have anyone to lean on, and I think Daisy recognized that and just took her under her wing. But she's very organized and sweet and calming. Wherever Daisy goes, Sophia goes with her. Daisy very much adopted her like a kid sister. Even Duke in the show is going to have a soft spot for her. Everybody does. She just has that sweet, like, life did her dirty shit and you just want to help her. She's got that innocent energy. We have McKenna Masters. This is another fellow child star that was on a show with Daisy. These guys are like frenemies. So they get along, they help each other with their careers, but there's like this secret competition, right? So she was a co-star with Daisy. She's the #1 TV show actress. She didn't really get far in movies. I think she wants to be a bit like Kelly Clarkson in the show. Like, she wants to have a talk show that can do her music at the same time as her goal, to be the next Oprah. She wrote a few rom-com movies that got big, and she's written some romance novels. She has her own talent agency and management firm to help other people like her. When she was a kid, she's never married, but always looking for love, like always falling in and out of love and just over anxious. She's 30. She's a redhead, light eyes, freckles like Kelty vibes, busty and curvy, basically hourglass shaped. And then Dusty Dalton. Again, this Dusty is, you either love him or you hate him, but it's the industry he's in. He's basically like E! News, like TMZ, like he's in everybody's dirt. But he was on the TV show with Daisy, that's why they're friends. He's very loud and proud and open about his LGBTQ, very brown eye, brown hair, thin build. He's 28. He wants to be the most known person in the world. Okay, he's got big ambitions and big talents, and he's cutthroat. He's a bit bratty, diva, bitchy, vindictive nature, but he's a male model and does commercial work as well. He writes and gives reviews. He's a TV show host, Hollywood gossip. I think he's got a column. I'm going to make him have like an old school column, but for social media. He's very well known in the fashion industry and is known for his taste. But he gets in it with everybody because, he likes to air his dirt, whatever he finds on anyone, friend or foe. Then over here we have Millie Monroe. She's 24, brown hair, brown eyes, curvy. She has her own makeup company. She's basically the child of old Hollywood royalty. Big daughter of A-listers, but there was like a huge scandal a few years back. Millie grew up under their wing, groomed, doing childhood shows like Daisy, and then you found out that they were taking all Millie's money, or just like something bad's gonna happen where she like had to split from her parents, and she signs with Duke. So she grew up spoiled, and she suffered drug addiction, but she did turn herself around. This is all before high school was over because, she had shitty parents. I did name this character Millie after my niece, but not at all like her parents. I was gonna put it out there. She has amazing parents, but I was like, what rhymes with Monroe? I was like Millie, but she's got good parents, so don't take that. I just wanted to put her in there, and I've put my other niece and nephew in different shows as well. But anyway. She had a nasty public split from her parents and her label. She was the #1 female pop artist when this happened. It's 2 years prior to when this show is airing. And so Duke basically hires Millie, takes her under his wing, restores her image, gets her another album out. She's an advocate for addiction and child abuse. She does comedy shows on the side. She's got her own makeup company. So she's a lot like Daisy, where she's got the star quality. She's been doing it for a long time, but she got a little tripped up because she didn't have direction. And then you have Diego Lopez, who's 30. He becomes family to Duke and Daisy. A lot like Sophia here. Duke met, where is it? Duke met him on tour at a show in Mexico playing for money with his family. So basically, he didn't have concert tickets to the show. He was just playing for the people. And so Duke heard him, thought like the entire family, and thought they were amazing, talked to him, realized basically they were border jumpers. It was a bad time. And for some reason, he just scooped up the whole family. And he runs the label with Duke. He's not a talent. He is really, really good in business. At this point in the show, it's been years later, he became a citizen. All of his families are citizens, like it's a pride thing. They wanted to really be a part of America. They're very politically activated because they want to be a part of this country. He's just an amazing music producer and an amazing business guy. So he runs the label because Duke's out a lot. He's also a singer himself. Diego can stay more in the business mind. He's great at making money and spinning careers and spotting that talent. He is the Mexican heritage, and his family's going to be a big part of the show because they have a Mexican restaurant that the family works at that a lot of Hollywood stars like. It's going to take place in, I'm not sure if it's going to be like Nashville or New York City. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to put Diego's restaurant, but it's going to be a big name restaurant where he signs a lot of his deals. Yeah. So those are the main characters, are all the ones I'm willing to show at this point. So basically, each episode is going to have storylines from all these people, but I'm only showing you the perspective of Daisy and Duke and how I plan this. So I'm going to have several of these episodes, 1, 2, 3, and 4 for each of these characters, but I'm lumping Daisy and Duke together because they're my main characters, and they're going to be two sides of the coin here. They're in every episode, and I kind of work everyone else around it. So Bo will have their own card. Willa and Zula will have their own storyline. Millie will have her own storyline. Diego will have his own storyline. Dusty, McKenna, and Sophia. Not in every episode, though. It's going to bounce back and forth. Like if you think about the show Nashville, there's multiple stars on that show, and you jump in and out of their points. It's going to pick up kind of on point every episode, but it bounces a lot. You're seeing a lot of different jobs and different aspects of the entertainment industry. And again, this is all fake. So I plan out each episode, beginning, plot twist, middle, and the conclusion. So basically in episode 1, how you meet Daisy and Duke is they are called, they haven't seen their mom in 10 years. Long story short, their mom was a horrible alcoholic and took advantage of them, especially Daisy when she was making money. And there's this whole scandal of basically bad things happen to Daisy because of men in the industry. So there's going to be rape, sexual assault underlaying in her childhood, which I'm sure is going to be hard for people to take into the show. It's going to have a little bit of, Law and Order in a couple of these episodes as the story comes out, because this is a very buried truth at the point of the show. So basically they're hearing from their mom 10 years after they went their own way. She just took off. She was a bad alcoholic, focusing on herself. And their father isn't much better. He was also an alcoholic, always asking for money, but he at least stuck around till they were 18 before he took off. So basically, she's sick. She's got stage 2 breast cancer. So, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to work it in, but the curiosity gets the best of them, and they go together to see about her. It says, called home to Florida, their mom calls. She is sick and needs help. Finds out she is in stage 2 breast cancer and hasn't seen them in 10 years. Daisy is in the middle of filming a movie, and Duke is in the middle of this big music tour, so it's like throwing a wrench in it. So the beginning is like, how should we go? And you're kind of seeing their worlds and how they're going to have to flip things around and how they operate as twins to make this decision. And the plot twist is Daisy moves her mom, Dory, to her rental in LA for the best care and staff. Learned she's been sober for 10 years and she's been going to meetings. So basically, when she comes home, Daisy sees a completely different person, the mom she always wanted, and now she's sick. So Daisy's like, you know what? You did all this work. I know we're not close, but why don't you come stay with me and I'll pay for it and I'll get you the care you need, which totally pisses Duke off because of what he knows what happened to Daisy and that it was on his mom's watch. And he just kind of had a lot of anger for his mom for what happened to both of them and the whole mix of things. And it's going to slowly leak out through the season. Duke doesn't come to see her and leaves Daisy to deal basically with her mom. They have a big blowout fight and a sibling war begins. Duke calls his father and has him come out on the road. Daisy is estranged from her dad and thought Duke was too, but the secret is out. So basically, Duke never broke ties with his dad, always stayed in contact, but it was a secret. And because he felt betrayed by his mom, he's like, you know what, Dad, come on tour. Let's pretend like we've been close all these years, even though they talked on the phone. It's not like they're super close, but Duke's playing it up at this point like they're like father and son, which pisses Daisy off. So the conclusion is Daisy finishes her movie, and the first time in her life she decides to cancel everything that she has plans, taking time off to go home with her mom to her estate in New Orleans with her mom and staff. Duke tells the family story in an interview, and Daisy is hounded. So basically, Duke gets drunk. He's pissed off about all the family wars. He goes on an interview and he leaks her rape story and how his mom was a horrible drunk and she was too busy partying to hear her daughter's screams. So, of course, think of Daisy, America's sweetheart, finding out this horrible thing happened and her twin brother is saying it so nonchalant and drunk and just in a dickish way, which is not at all like Duke. He's just going through his own shit. So, episode 1 ends with a huge media shitstorm. Hollywood Scarlet sweetheart was raped and her mother let it happen, like all this fucking shit. So we're going into episode 2. The beginning is Duke is hit with the backlash and his dates get canceled. People basically boycott his show because of the way he said what he said about his sister and how he handled it, and he was just a drunk sloppy mess. And anytime you talk about sexual assault, especially in this world, the arenas are canceling. His PR at this point is telling him, you got to take a step back. This looks really bad. He's getting boycotted, chewed out for outing his sister and the family the way he did. Daisy is media hounded, stuck inside and refusing to comment. So basically, you just see Daisy shut down. This is something that even Daisy herself has buried, won't think about it, won't admit it, won't talk about it. And there you have her brother, basically airing out her dirty laundry, and she can't even face it within herself, let alone face it to the world. So but she's very professional and she's the type of character that will look fine, cool, calm, and collected and go in her closet and just lose her shit even to her own management. So she's basically losing her shit and hiding out. The middle or the climax of it is Dory starts to improve And since there's all this shitstorm going on and she's stuck in the house, Daisy decides to check her into LA so she can focus on getting better, and uses her maiden name to hide her from the press. So she gets her mom out of there, and she moves herself to one of her New York City high rises, feeling like she could be a bit more invisible in a city. She moves Sophia and Willa and Zula in with her to keep everybody close, and to figure out what they're going to do. Damage control. They decide to put out a statement, and with Willa's direction, she basically says, you know what, everybody's going to fill in the blanks, and this is going to follow you for years. If you want to take back your power, if you want to tell your story, let's do a book. Let's start working on it now. We're just going to give out a statement that we need some time. Let's do this book, tell your story your way, and when you're ready, we'll set up a press, like do a talk show. But basically they're deciding at this point to write their own book, both for therapy for her and so she can tell her truth in her own way. And then the conclusion is Duke comes to see Daisy. She slaps him in the face and tells him they're no longer siblings. Like, think about all the shit that she's going through. How could you fucking do this to me? You're my fucking twin. You know me better than anyone. You betrayed me. So this is like a very vicious fight. And Duke doesn't fight back. He feels like dog shit. He feels like a piece of shit. Because the truth is he got drunk. Like his parents. And he let himself slip. All his life drank a little bit, but his pride was, at least I'm not an alcoholic like my parents. And then here he is outing his sister, acting just like his parents. So he's devastated, trying to beg for her forgiveness. So it's like a moment where you kind of feel bad for both of them. So he leaves. He doesn't want to upset her anymore, but he's heartbroken. She decides to sit down with the #1 daytime talk show host and tells her side of the story and lets people know the book is coming out. So then, of course, there's another media like, oh, we're going to get to hear it from her side. And, news hits to Duke that she's doing a book, and her parents and everyone's just like surprised that she's doing that. So anyway, getting into episode 3. Duke hires, in the beginning, a PR firm to restore his image and goes on a press tour to try to correct the damage done. He sends his dad to rehab. After being on tour with him, he just realizes that his dad hasn't changed, and he gives him an ultimatum, like, if you really want to be my dad, for me and Daisy, like, you need to get yourself cleaned up. And his dad says, all right. He actually does it. He calls Daisy daily, knowing she won't answer, but he leaves her messages. He calls his mom. He starts having a relationship and goes to see her. Daisy finishes her book and starts prepping for her tour, still completely ignoring Duke and her father. But here she is again, like, she's having severe PTSD as she's writing this book. All these anxiety attacks are happening because really, honestly, she's doing it before she's ready. She's being forced to because Duke outed her. She's having severe nightmares, night terrors, and she's trying to hide this from everyone, and it's starting to slip here. So in the middle of the episode, it's the award shows for the music industry, and of course they put Daisy and Duke at the same table. Daisy brought her mom. Duke brought his dad. A little bit of time has passed, so Duke's dad is visiting from rehab, a little bit more clean and sober. And, so it's the first time the family's been together and they're being forced to sit, but since they're all professional, it's extremely awkward, but they do it. However, it forces Duke and Daisy to have another conversation. And in their conversation, Daisy completely has a full-blown anxiety attack, hyperventilating, and Duke just sees the complete collapse in her because she is his twin sister. So he basically covers it from anyone around that would see it or take pictures, gets her out of there, gets her to the hospital, stays with her, talking her down the whole time. And makes out a therapy plan for her so she can do this book tour without having this, like, he sits there and he stays with her. I wouldn't say that's the moment they make up, but she realizes how much Duke actually does feel bad and how much he does care. So the conclusion is they ultimately make up, but they're not 100% solid. However, their parents have a big fight about everything that happened to Duke and Daisy. His dad relapses and gets drunk. His mom, it was celebrating coming off chemo, and she got drunk, and they got into a fight. And basically, the episode ends with Daisy and Duke's parents back in the media with their mugshots, and they have to go down there and bail them out. So it's just like getting messier and messier. And then episode 4. A little bit of time has passed. Newsreel has moved on. The news of the day is their mom is in remission. The cancer is gone. Remember, it was only in stage 2. She sent her to that place. It ended up working. That hits the press. So she takes her mom to Vegas and her brother to support his concert. Basically, Duke asked her, hey, will you come out and do a show with me? If the world sees that you have forgiven me and moved on, and maybe they can move on and forgive me too. So Daisy agrees to do it. At the same time, they make a celebration for their mom out of it. Her book tour ends. However, a stalker situation pops up for Daisy, leaving her creepy shit outside of her hotel room, like sending her photos on her phone of her places, like basically letting her know she's being followed. And with all her anxiety shit popping up, they decide to beef up the security. They call the police, make some reports. In the middle of the show, Duke's shows are reopening. He's able to finish his tour, and any seats that weren't sold out start to sell out. So it's like he's not 100% back with the public, but, Daisy stepping up for him ended up doing the trick. He's back on his feet. He also decides to give up drinking and smoking and starts getting therapy for himself. And this is where he meets Layla, and he falls for his shrink very, very much so in the beginning, but is trying to check it. So the end of this episode, Duke and Layla are bonding over this therapy. Like, he's just falling in love with her, and she's just doing her job. He's sober for the first time in years. His tour is going well. He asks her to dinner, and she flat out rejects him, like, no, I'm your therapist. That's unprofessional. She sets that boundary, which of course only makes Duke like and want her more. Daisy starts self-defense classes when a break-in in her home happens while she's out somewhere with her friends. It's like she decides to go somewhere on spur of the moment, and so she leaves. She goes to this event, and her alarm goes off. She was supposed to be home alone that night, and so it freaks her out. This person had clearly known that her staff was going to be gone. She was going to be alone. They planned some kind of attack, so her PTSD is getting triggered again. But that's all I'm going to show you right now about this one. I just want to show you that, break it down, character description, details, start planning out each episode and how you're going to build it and who's coming into what, because like I said, I have 2 main characters, Duke and Daisy, and there's going to be key players in each, because of the Bo works directly with Duke, Willow works directly with Daisy, so they're going to be in a lot of episodes, and Sophia too as her assistant. But getting into like Millie's story and Dusty and McKenna, those are like side pockets here and there. They're more supporting of roles, so they're not going to have as much detail as these 2. Like, you got to do it your own way, but this what works for me before I start writing it up and getting it on screen. So I hope you like this. I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you all again soon. Toodles!